Welcome to Pegwarmers. I'm Kevin, and I'm here to talk about toys. Today, we are going to be calling this episode Flea Market Days. I have been an avid yard sailor and flea marketer my pretty much entire life. It's a huge portion of where my collection started, but I have not been a regular for the past year especially, and maybe for the past couple years. Sunday mornings have just become more busy with the way my life is structured now, and so I don't go out flea marketing as much, and when we were getting ready to move, obviously, I didn't need to be going out and buying more stuff to have to move, and life has been pretty crazy, but I did get a chance to go out this weekend, and I want to talk about it a little bit. So when I go to the flea markets, I'm looking for toys, but I also look for tools, and that might not be something that my normal viewers know, but I do have a pretty strong passion for woodworking, and my yard sale buddies are two older guys that go out shopping for tools. I used to live near the one, and I would ride to the flea markets with them all the time. Now, when I go occasionally, I meet up with them. Lumber Dave is my one buddy, and Body and Fender Man Ray is the other. One guy looks for mostly wood stuff, the other guy looks for a lot of metalworking type things or tools for little projects around his house. Ray's retired and Dave is getting close to retirement age. And they kind of have fun walking around the flea market, quizzing me on tool type things, and then asking me, is that your stuff over there? Pointing to whatever random bin of wrestlers they see or whatever. I don't know if you saw the short I posted over the weekend, but one of my all-time favorite vendors at the flea market is Kurt. Kurt does house cleanouts, and he puts on a show, gets on top of his truck, hoots and hollers and yells at people, I gotta go. He's got all his little catchphrases, always entertaining. I don't really get a lot of toys from him, but the flea market I go to in New Jersey has a pretty decent collector community. You got to get there pretty early if you want to find good stuff, because there's a lot of collectors there hunting. People that own toy stores and just very avid collectors. And then there's some career toy flea market dealers that are there set up with, a mix of G.I. Joe and Transformers and things like that. Literally the first toy I saw was this red Barbie and Midge toy case. And I had to wonder when I look at it, is that two Kens on the front or is one of those Alan? I was just curious, as a little nod for you Barbie movie fans out there. Once we got down to the first row, we kind of come in on the side and then go down rows and come back and forth. On the first row, I saw some dinosaur toys, and if I ever see generic dinosaur toys, I always check. And for a split second, I thought I found the T-Rex from the G.I. Joe Dino Hunters. And I got real excited. When I got over closer, I could see, though, that it was just the regular Imperial one that the Hasbro Dino was sort of molded off of, but the arm was warped, was sort of crushed in. I took pictures of it from a couple different angles so you could see what I'm talking about. The actual Hasbro one, the arms are sculpted up against the body. But this one almost looked like it. Oh, the Fisher-Price Firehouse. I saw this there, brought back a lot of great memories. It had a little crank that raised and lowered the garage door, made a little bell ring, came with little firefighters and an ambulance and stuff. This was a cool playset as a kid. The WWE Slambulance is hilarious. I am not a huge wrestling aficionado, but I'm aware that there's a ton of great wrestling toys out there. But this one is a vehicle for wrestling figures, or possibly even a playset that's not a ring, and that's pretty unusual. Spotted a Where's Waldo doll. This kind of stuck out to me, I think, because I was recently talking about my Pee Wee Herman doll. It's interesting how many different brands were kind of released in that sort of large pull-string size doll. I don't know if Waldo talks or not, but that form factor was popular for a little while. There was a Talking Freddy back in the day, things like that. I was looking through a bin of toys, and this rainbow nightlight grabbed my attention. My sister and I both had identical nightlights that matched this Mark one. Mine said Kevin, and my sister said Julie. But it blew my mind to see it, something I hadn't thought about in forever, and I just thought that was pretty cool. I saw a fair amount of mask at the flea market. My buddy Nick is collecting a lot of mask stuff currently, so I don't know if that's what drew my attention to it, or it just kind of stuck out, but I saw multiple vendors with some mask vehicles. This modded Batmobile kind of blew my mind. So Walked past it, didn't really notice it, then kind of turned around, was looking at some other things, and I noticed an '89 Batmobile with Batman in it. And I decided I want to take a look at it, and I picked it up, and it was really heavy. And as I looked at the front, there were little LEDs poking through the front of the vehicle. And when I turned around to the back, there were little LEDs in the back and where the booster was. And the back engine cover or trunk cover lid was missing. And there's a piece of sheet metal there that's been sort of like caulked in. I was like, this is bizarre. And when I flipped it over, I could actually see underneath where like the little stick shift goes to open the missile launchers, there was like a wire running through there. Somebody's dad, or I assume somebody's dad, was the one that modded this, or maybe just a teenager or 20-something that collected this thing back in the day, modded this Batmobile so it could light up. They were asking $20. I passed on it, but a guy immediately after I put it down snatched it up and was happy to take it home for $20. So I hope he's enjoying it. Then I saw the Mr. T doll still in the box. This thing is kind of like an iconic piece. The A-Team was well merchandised, but Mr. T was a big thing in his own right, his own brand. It was pretty cool to see this doll in such great condition. Flea Market Batman. I kid you not. I'm walking around the flea market. There was a guy dressed as Batman, and it was pretty warm out. Pretty warm to be dressed up in a full cape and cowl. He was talking to a lady, and I heard her ask, "Do you charge to take pictures?" And I thought, wow, that would be an interesting way to make a buck at the flea market. But no, he posed for the picture free of charge. But that cracked me up. I saw a nice pile of Mo2 guys, mostly common guys, and I had to crack up with there was multiple buzz-offs on the table, and this Power Ranger B-villain mixed in. I found a custom Storm Shadow. I don't know what the base figure is here, but the hood mask seems to be sculpted on, and then the backpack that holds the sword was definitely sculpted on, and it looked like some custom paintwork. Very interesting. I feel like I don't see customs at flea markets that often, but eventually, if people make customs and have a big collection, eventually those have to get out. Eventually, either you would throw them out, or you would sell them, or your family eventually would just sell them once you're not there to point out, like, that's not an original toy. I don't know, but I thought it was interesting and wanted to show it off for you guys. So for a long time, I have said, as toys have become more articulated and have smaller accessories, that someday it's going to be impossible to collect complete figures. The multi-jointed figures where the hands can come off or the heads can pop off are easy. How are you going to find these guys complete later? And I found a Star Wars prequel Jedi character with his lightsaber still in his hand, and he was in a bin of random action figures. Not like some well-organized toy vendor with Ziploc bagged his stuff up. This Koth figure, man, still has his saber. He's holding on for dear life. I saw a Tiger Rat. This is probably not the original Tiger Rat, but the 25th anniversary one. Although it could be the original. I didn't pick it up. The canopies were missing, and it had some generic army men shoved inside. This vendor had a few other G.I. Joe vehicles, but that one kind of stuck out to me. The last real toy item I saw at the flea market that I took a picture of was some starting lineup figures. These were classic sports memorabilia / toys in the late 80s, and it's kind of funny to see them showing up at the flea markets a lot lately. So what did I pick up while I was at the flea market? Well, the first toy-related purchase that I made that wasn't a tool was a copy of Marvel Age. This is a Marvel comic. This is a series that Marvel ran. It was their official news magazine, and they would sometimes put out articles about new comics and things like that, and this one shows off the new characters. It's got Law, it's got Crazy Legs, it's got Psych Out, it's got Fast Draw, and possibly a mystery character. I think I've heard people speculate who it's supposed to be. Maybe it's Sneak Peek, the last guy there. The art is by Russ Heath. His autographs down there by Psych Out's Legs. Russ Heath did a lot of artwork for the G.I. Joe brand. He did a lot of the model sheets for the original cartoon. He did this pinup poster that was used as a promotional item in the comic book. And his daughter was actually an English teacher at my middle school. And I went to school with some of his grandkids. Inside the magazine, we have the G.I. Joe top secret pages here. Secrets uncovered. I really should read through this whole thing. I wonder if there's anything special in here. Larry sits at his desk, pops open a Diet Coke, and begins to work through the latest ideas for those real American heroes. The first thing on the agenda, the newest members of the G.I. Joe team. Sometimes the Joes will need help in the psychological area. That's where Psych Out comes in. We've got Cobra Commander, Payload, who you don't see comic book artwork of too much. We've got Crystal Ball and the Baroness. Some interesting stuff in here. Not all of these are new characters for that era. We got Crocmaster. Marvel Trivia Quiz. Oh, this might be something special. I might come back to the trivia quiz for a future episode. I hadn't looked in this issue yet, so I wasn't aware that this was in here. I think I might save that. It looks like that's the end of the article on G.I. Joe. Alright. Good purchase, only $1. It's not in perfect shape, but happy to have that. The rest of these toys that I picked up are things that I'm hoping will play a role in future videos. Some videos that I have planned. There are so many things that I could do videos on, but it gets tricky. I might not have the complete toy line. Or I'm looking for the right person to bounce it off of. I love having a guest on the episodes where I do like a toy line review. There's a few that I've done on my own, but I always think it's better. And so I've been doing a bunch of these movie toy line videos with Ryan from Monsters FX and Tony from Hack the Movies, and we have some more in the works. So these may end up showing up on the channel down the road. But I picked up 2 figures from Hook. I got Rufio, and I got Hook. This is sort of the standard appearance Hook. I had a different Hook figure as a kid, and I had the one with the multiple hooks, or like the multiple like attachments you could put on there in a less formal outfit. And then, of course, Rufio. Now, I don't have his accessory. I don't have his little surfboard thing, whatever you call that. Picked up some examples from the Hook toy line. I found 2 guys from Jurassic Park. I've got Alan Grant, which is a figure I had as a kid. A figure that I thought looked more like Alan than it really does. In my memory, I allowed it to look more like him than it really was. And the ridiculous Dennis Nedry figure that looks nothing like Wayne Knight and has dino damage action where you can rip off his arms because, you know, somebody's got to get eaten by the dinosaurs. I do have a Jurassic Park episode on the channel. You should check it out if you haven't seen it. These are actually for a side project, actually like a collab I'm doing that will not appear on this channel, but I will definitely let you guys know when that comes out. The last thing I picked up at the flea market was a Beetlejuice motorcycle. It is missing the front wheel, which is a shame, but I do want to have as many different parts of the toy line represented when we get around to doing the Beetlejuice episode. This is actually in preparation for when the sequel comes out. I hope to be able to do an episode of the old Beetlejuice toy line when that happens. Of course, I don't know when that's going to be because of the strike and things like that, but this is also giving me some time to collect some of this stuff. I have a bunch of the figures, but some of the other items, other tie-in things, are the things I'm missing. In toy news, Dan Klingensmith, who does the Creating G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero books, is doing a Kickstarter for Volume 13. If you are into G.I. Joe history, I can't recommend these books enough. Book 13 is supposed to have information about 6 Night Force characters that were not released. There were some alternative characters. He's actually posted a picture. He hired an artist to help him recreate what these 2-pack hardbacks would look like for some of these characters. He has mentioned that Low Light was supposed to be a Night Force character, a point that I have made many times when talking about Night Force, including in the Night Force episode of Pegwarmers that I did with Farpoint Toys. And he's packaged with Blaster, one of the Battle Force 2000 guys, in Dan's mock-up card. I don't know who he would have actually been packed up with, but I can't even imagine getting a Battle Force 2000 figure as part of Night Force. What a shame that would have been. What a low point in such an awesome sub-team that would have been. I can't wait to get Volume 13 and find out who the other characters were. And then I'm going to wrap this episode up with a new to the collection. I actually shared this with the people on the Discord for the second tier Patreon followers and supporters. I got Lady Slither. She was a Mattel Creations figure for the Motu Origins line, shipped immediately. There's her beautiful slipcover. And that reveals a package that looks like it's a 2-pack, but it's really Lady Slither with humanoid legs and then her snake body next to it there. She's got some great artwork on the top and on the back of the package. The Mattel Creations always have more artwork on their back. There's a cool, like, shaman-looking guy who looks like he uses some parts of King Hiss, maybe, combined with stuff from Nephew. Not Nephew. I can't think of his name, but there was like an Egyptian guy from the Filmation cartoon that got a figure in Classics. It reminds me a little bit of him. And we also have a red Cobra Khan guy with the snake body. So several new Snake Men characters on here, which I think they plan to do, really flesh out the Snake Men line. We've already gotten the multi-pack, and there's the possibility of them doing a crowdfunded Snake Men castle. So there's a lot of cool stuff going on with the Snake Men. I am totally impressed with Motu Origins and how long that line has gone on. In the comments down below, let me know if you've ever had good luck hunting for collectible toys at flea markets or yard sales. I have had, good days and bad days over the years. My kind of general area, there's a flea market close to me here. There's a flea market in New Jersey that's about 30 minutes away. They both sometimes have like actual toy vendor type people at them, especially the one in New Jersey that I go to frequently. I've been to lots of flea markets further away than sort of the local ones, or the ones that I go to the most or used to go to the most. Like I said, my buddies Dave and Ray, they travel around. They go to the flea market almost every weekend, and they get bored of looking at the same stuff because generally, if the price isn't just right, the vendor takes it home and they bring it back the next week. So they hit some of the same ones pretty often, and then every once in a while they get adventurous and say, "Oh, we're going way over here." And that's always kind of fun. Sometimes you get to see some different things that way. I have not had an amazing flea market score in a long time, but there are some videos on this channel under the old format SEO toy review where I dug through a big G.I. Joe vehicle lot that I picked up at yard sale or at the flea market one time. And there's some other yard sale bin, like fodder bins that we dug through and made videos about, if you're into that kind of stuff. I do apologize if this video is a little short. There's a lot going on in my personal life right now that was making it a little bit tricky to get this episode squeaked in. I do plan on putting together an episode that recaps RetroCon and my haul from RetroCon, my favorite toy hunting convention of the year. That was just recent, but I knew I was not going to be able to get that done this week. I'm staring at my haul over there, but I will be shooting that soon. If you enjoyed this video, do me a favor, hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't done that. Consider sharing this video with a toy collecting friend. If you want to support the channel financially, consider joining our Patreon group, like the people whose names are on the screen right now. And thanks for hanging on the peg with me.